So I started learning music at a very, very young age. Like, started learning Carnatic music when I was 3, and I quit because I had my 10th standard board exam, and that was more important than everything else. So, um, at that point, I sort of became very interested in Western pop music because I have a sister who's 8 years older than me. So she used to train her college band and choir and things like that. So I started listening to pop music, which slowly led to music from around the world. So Carnatic music sort of took a back seat. And when I was about 24, I started learning Western classical music. So at that point, I was working with a corporate group, and I used to perform on the side. Like, I had a lot of musician friends who get together and jam. So while we used to jam with them, we also used to put up little performances here and there. And I became more interested in doing that than working full time at a corporate. And I loved my job, but then I loved this a bit more than that. So I quit that and took up music full time. And yeah, so then I started learning classical music and performing pop music. Yeah, so with regards to my Carnatic music, I learned from like 13 different teachers, and now I'm learning again. I started from scratch. I'm learning from Srimati Champa Kumar, and my Western classical music I started learning from Anupa Paul, and then now I learn from Mr. Augustine Paul. So they have been very instrumental in being mentors to me with regards to classical music. But pop music, there was not much learning. It was all just singing and having fun. I would say my sister was my mentor because she was the one who sort of used to tweak my singing and say, don't sing like this, don't imitate them, don't sing like yourself, don't put on an accent while singing. So things like that she would constantly do. So I would say she was my guru when it came to pop music. When I was working, I did a show with my friends Prithvi Chandrasekhar and Mandana Srinivasan. We performed at the Kotte Festival. So it's very filmy, but we were performing on the terrace and we were doing a mashup of Munbeva and David Guetta and Sia's Titanium. So when we were doing that, it started raining, and at that point, nobody, went back inside. Everybody was just there, getting wet in the rain, and I was like, nobody's moving. So this is it. This is what I want to do. It was a very filmy moment, but I think that moment sort of made me realize that this is what I wanted to do full time. Sing under all weather conditions, where people stay. Okay, so my main challenge was money. It still is the main challenge. To be honest, Chennai or Tamil Nadu is a very film-centric state. It's all about film music and it's about Indian classical music. So the other genres are not given that much importance. It's there. So when I started off being used to a corporate job, a steady income with PF and gratuity and things like that, I had to go towards begging people for payment, saying, I performed here last month, I need my payment. It became more like me begging them to pay me for something I did. That was something I was not used to and I was not comfortable with also. But then that's the industry, that's how it works. So payment, money per se, it's a lot better now. I won't say it's an entire challenge because I also realized that music was not just about performing. I teach music as well. So that way I get to have my stable income at the same time make music that I want. The other challenge I massively faced was singing in English. If you sing in Tamil, you get a little better support. But if you sing in English, your audience becomes extremely limited. That's something I faced, and that's something which still exists, but most of us are okay with it. We know that's the scene, but we also know that our music is doing well elsewhere. So I think the biggest challenge is that Tamil Nadu is still a very film-centric, film music, Carnatic music-oriented state. I think we need to change that. And I think a lot of independent musicians out there are slowly doing it. It's very slow, but it's happening. Simple things like agreeing to pay to watch a performance. Everybody expects free performances. As much as they say music should be free, music is creativity, it should be free. On the other side, the artist is working on this full time. Would a chartered accountant do something for free? Would an architect, I see a no there. Would an architect design something for free? It's just like any other profession. You can't expect, because for you, for the audience, music might be a hobby. It might be something that they want to just listen to and enjoy. But on the other side, there's a lot of work involved. To even practice together as a band, to spend time as a band, to work on arrangements, rearranging things. You're spending a lot of time, you're spending a lot of effort. Instruments are very expensive, equipments are very expensive. They'd have to pay the sound to get the right sound out, money. So a simple thing would be for our audience to start willing to spend a little amount of money to go and watch a performance. And to also, this I think every industry is facing, to buy music rather than download it for free or convert it on YouTube and YouTube to MP3 and download it and listen to it for free. Things like that would definitely help. See, because once that happens, people will start taking this a little more seriously. There'll be more venues, more platforms that actually encourage such kind of performances. And then there'll be more artists and more talents. It won't be just engineering, medicine, blah, blah, blah. Okay, music is like a hobby. It won't be like that. There's so much involved. Like I tell all my students when I teach them music, music is math. It's so much math when you're learning the theory of music. Music is so much geography, there's so much history, there's so much of everything involved. And then when you're making instruments, you need to learn physics. It's all about sound waves, it's all about sound. There's so much, it's not just fun. It's fun with all these things. So if that integration happens, I think it would be looked at as a serious profession and not just, oh, you're going to be useless because you're into music. That sort of a thing, which still a lot of people go through. I was very lucky because my parents were like, do what you want. As long as you're happy. If you feel you want to do something else, do it. It's your decision, your life. But there aren't that many people who have that sort of support. I think that needs to change as well. So I teach at a Montessori school called Redwood Montessori, and it's all about. So Montessori is all about independent learning. It's about child-led learning. So what I do there is I've integrated music with all the other dimensions that the children would like to learn. So we work with them through activities. They learn instruments and they understand the concepts of music through these various activities and aspects. I also teach at a music school called PMA School of Music. So I teach vocals there, Western vocals and Western contemporary. So yeah, age groups differ drastically. Typically, for me per se, there is no fixed process. It varies. It depends on what I'm doing at that point. Sometimes I have like a concept, and then I work with the concept, and I say, okay, this concept should sound fast. It should sound slow. It should sound dramatic, and then I work on the beats, and then I work on the tune, and then I, start working on the lyrics. Sometimes I'll just be chilling and watching Netflix or doing something and I'll be like, okay, let me just do this. And I'll have a tune. So it works differently. If I'm driving along ECR or something, I'll feel a particular way. So that would induce something else. So for me, there's no such creative process, like a fixed process. But once I have a tune and lyric set, it's usually me taking it to my musician friends and telling them, I have this ready, how can we develop this? And they will also throw in ideas, and then once we release a song, it's out there. When I started working for a corporate in Chennai, so before I started working for a corporate in Chennai, I was working in Bangalore for a radio station. I took a 3-month break and then I started working for the corporate. So just when I started working, a lot of my friends thought I was on a break because I was on a 3-month break. So they were also just starting out with, working on small jingles, working with small TV series and things like that. So I did. At that point, for me, it was all fun. It was nothing serious because I wanted to work with a corporate. And so I did the title track for this television show called Puriyada Pudir. I think it was on Raj TV. Yeah. And then I did a lot of animated series, dubbing and singing for that. And, like Lion King dubbed in Tamil and things like that, where I had to sing the actual songs in Tamil and a Japanese show dubbed in Tamil. It was for all these children's channel things like that. So that happened, and then friends would usually connect me to somebody. Somebody put me on to somebody who put me on to somebody else who was doing a film called Marina. And I still work with him now. He's one of my closest friends, Girish Gopalakrishnan. That was his first film. So he just wanted a new voice, which is a common thing, a fresh voice, a new voice. He wanted a new voice because he was also new. So he was like, I need new voices for this song. So that's how my first song for the film actually happened. It's called Vanakkam Mazhavekku Chennai. And that came out in 2012. It was released as the Chennai anthem. I sang just 4 lines, but it's one of my most favorite tracks. Because it was so much fun singing for that. So I work a lot with Girish now. I do a lot of re-recording for his films. A lot of tracks, a lot of backing vocals, do a little bit of arrangements here and there, harmonies, things like that. So I work with him. Then I've done a lot of work with Vishal Chandrasekhar. Then I did a couple of re-recording for G.V. Prakash's films, backing vocals, things like that. So my film experience has been very interesting because it's not just to do with playback singing. It's a lot more behind the scenes work happening as well. So that way, it's been a lot of fun. No, I don't dub for films. I don't lend my voice, spoken voice. It's always singing. Like if somebody's dying in the background, you'll hear some happening, that would be me. So, or haunting vocals and things like that. We did a film called, there was a horror film called Aval that released in Tamil, Telugu and Hindi. The House Next Door in Hindi. So a lot of these haunting vocals when the ghost appears and things like that. So it's never the spoken voice. It's always the singing voice. So I used to be on Facebook, like very actively on Facebook. And then I quit Facebook, but I still have a Facebook page there. And I'm on Instagram and Twitter and things like that. So I used to connect with them through social media, but now not so more. Now I prefer doing it through my performances rather than social media because I find as awesome as social media might be, it just limits your interaction to an extent. As you might think it's a two-way interaction, but you don't know who the other person is. Whereas when it's a live performance, it's a lot more interactive. You see them, they're there. You see how they react to your music. I prefer that, and I sort of like doing that. So through my live performances, I speak to them. I used to do it through the radio, but then again, you don't know who the other person is. So shows, gigs, performance is the best way to do it. Just people listening and reacting. See, I've done gigs at hotels where I would be singing and my accompanist would be playing either the guitar or the keyboard, and people would be eating and having conversations. We looked at them as practice gigs because we could go mess up the words, change the tune, do whatever we want. Nobody would care because nobody was listening. There were times when we were told sing only English and we'd go there and sing Tamil, mix it up with English because a lot of songs are inspired by songs from different languages. So we would change it up, sing Hindi, sing Tamil, do a mashup of Hindi, English, Tamil, Malayalam because my accompanist would be fluent with the language. We'd mix it up and nobody would even listen or respond to us. So then we realized, okay, we can just do whatever we want. But then when we started doing other gigs where people would respond and send in requests and nod their head and look at us while we were singing, that I feel is a lot more appreciative, and it was very exciting to know that somebody was actually listening to you sing. So yeah, I think that sort of makes me happy when I know that somebody is listening to me and it's not a one-sided performance. Performance happens both ways. So I have anxiety otherwise. When I perform, I'm happy.
Okay.
I'm in a happy state. I'm singing and people are reacting. So otherwise, I don't MC. I have a problem speaking when people are watching. When people are not watching, it's fine. But when there are like 15 people in front of me, singing, best way. Not really. I'm not very superstitious or anything, so I don't have anything like that. Usually, it's just I have a cat at home, so I tell my cat that I'm going for a show, and I'll be like, so you could say that is my ritual. I'm just letting the cat know I have a show today. I'll be back home late. I don't do anything. I just go there and sound check happens, and then we go with the flow. I'm very bad with anecdotes, but I think people should just sing what they want to sing, make the sort of music that they want to make, and not be too worried about how the audience might take it, because one day it might just work out. You don't know who's listening out there. Somebody might just feel your music and be like, this music was meant for me. So if you're gonna go like 10 people did not appreciate my music, 10 people are not able to relate to my music, there might be one person out there who might be able to relate to your music. Just work towards that one person, is what I feel. Because your music is all about sharing your stories, your emotions, conveying it through melody, rhythm, lyrics, etc., etc. And it's you're making sure that somebody out there is able to relate to it. But if you're going to start counting the number of people who are able to relate to it, then I don't see the point. So I just think you should make it for yourself and not worry too much about what others might feel or think. So, funnily enough, I did not know Chennai had a Western classical music scene. I wasn't exposed to that. I didn't know it was a thing. I didn't know somebody could get themselves trained in Western classical music in Chennai. So it just happened because I was looking for somebody who could help me improve my vocal skills when it came to singing pop music. So my friend put me on to Anupa Paul, saying she's got her ATCL and she's an awesome teacher. I didn't know what ATCL was. So I was like, okay, and then I went, attended classes with her, and then she was like, I'm going to train you in Western classical because I think you'll be good at that. So then I was like, okay, there's something like that here. I didn't know it was opera. I didn't know that you had different styles. I just knew opera was a thing because I used to watch TV shows and movies where you'll have some lady singing opera, and that was opera for me. But there's more to it. There's so many styles involved, and Western classical is not just opera. There's a lot more to it. I was sort of exposed to that through her, and I got to know that there are grade exams that actually mean something. And Chennai is a center in India 4 grade exams where people perform. There was a choir called the Madras Musical Association. I joined the choir, and then it was like a common thing for everybody out there. For me, it was something new because I didn't know the MMA existed till then. So I think we all live in this niche world where we're like, okay, we know only this sort of music. There's a lot more happening there. Through MMA, I got to know different types of. There are choir festivals that happen in Chennai every year. Carols by candlelight. It's huge. There are at least some 45 plus choirs from within the city who come and participate. And it's amazing. It could be like a 4-piece choir, it could be a 50-member choir, a 150-member choir. It's just so beautiful in different types of songs. It's not just gospel. They sing, they take contemporary songs, they modify it. They take songs from musicals, they sing, they enact. It's so beautiful. So I would say that my interest in Western classical happened through my teacher then. And through that, I got exposed to a lot more different types of singing techniques, singing genres within that whole concept of Western music. It's huge, it's like an ocean. So in Trinity, you have these grades. Not just Trinity, you have different types of exams. You have Trinity, you have Royal, ABRSM, then you have LCM, Cambridge, things like that. So with Trinity, you have grade 1 to grade, initial to grade 8, after which you have your diploma exams, which would be ATCL, LTCL and FTCL. ATCL is Associateship from Trinity College of London. LTCL is Laurentiate and then Licentiate and then Fellowship. Fellowship is equivalent to a doctorate in music. So technically you're eligible to teach if you have an ATCL. So these things I didn't know. I thought, okay, anybody could just teach, anybody can just do these things, but it's a lot of work. People need to spend hours and hours saying, because when you I'll give you an example about ATCL in singing. I completed that in Feb and I had to sing 8 songs. So it was a 45-minute set. It was there were arias, there were operatis, there was a musical performance, and so this is not just me singing, this is me being expressive also, which was something new for me, to express like in a very overly dramatic way. So that was not something I could do. And to sing continuously in German, Italian, French and English, languages which I'm not familiar with. But when you're singing, your examiner could be from some part of Europe or Ireland or the UK, who's fluent with all these languages. They're gonna check you for your diction, for your expression, for the way you enunciate on certain words. So that was completely difficult, very challenging for me, because I would sit in French was something I was sort of familiar with because I went to Alliance when I was in school and extracurricular subject and things like that. But German was very difficult, Italian was completely difficult. And every time I would sing, my husband would be like, "What are you doing?" So we had those moments where I would think I was pronouncing things the right way. And then people who knew the language would be like, "Can you stop? Can you not ruin the language?" So that was very challenging. So ATCL is, I would say, challenging. So LTCL is even more challenging, and FTCL is just 1 hour or 1.5 hours of just singing, performing. It's just you and the accompanist. So it's like proper, with the proper opera costume and the classical, the gown. Yeah, something we would never wear on a normal day. So it had to be everything. Your hair, it was all just a whole new experience for me. So that is ATCL. Saying it's a completely new world, and these are things that people attend regularly. There are tons of children out there who already start getting themselves trained. Instruments, vocals. And instruments have to be accompanied with another instrument. So if you're playing the cello, if you're taking up cello exam, cello has to be accompanied by a pianist. So it's very, and they have to have a certain grade to be able to accompany. So, because I started learning Western classical, I sort of understood music better. And I was doing theory at that point where I sort of understood that there are scales. I understood how the scales worked. And then I felt certain scales reminded me of certain ragams which I had learnt back then. So I wanted to understand if it was similar. So then I went back and I said, okay, maybe now I'll understand Carnatic music better, because then I was forced to learn it. I was never interested in it. Now that I'm learning a different style of music, I can, and I'm an adult now, so I can actually sit and understand for myself how that works. So I found somebody, Srimati Champa Kumar, who I told her I want to learn the basics. Like, I want you to explain everything. She was amazing. She started explaining how a note is formed, how that leads to another note, and things like that, which I was never explained. It was right from the beginning, Sarli Varsa, Janta Varsa, Geetam, Varnam, Kirtanam. It was that order, and it was just learning a song and replicating it and practicing it. So I never understood the theoretical aspects of Carnatic music, which I'm learning now. So I feel it's a lot more interesting for me because I can relate it to, I can apply that with other kinds of music as well. So when I was in, I don't remember because there used to be these nursery rhyme cassettes and all. So I'm sure something like that would have happened. But when I was in school, something I very clearly remember is we used to have these GC classes, general class, I think that's what it was called, where all the four sections would gather together on one particular day, and there would be some dance or singing or something like that happening. And this was, I think, when I was in the 11th standard or 10th standard or something. My friend who was in another section, both of us got together and we sang Vasigara. That was like my first memory of singing anything in public. I would have done, like, we had PTA competitions in school. I've got prizes. I don't remember singing any of those things. But this is something I clearly remember because we were not allowed to sing film songs in school, and both of us went up and we were given a dare saying go sing a film song in school in front of all the teachers. So we went and we sang the most romantic song ever at that point, Vasigara, and then we got yelled at for it later on, but it was something I very clearly remember. I did my master's in Pune at SIMC, and it's on a hill called Lavle, which is around 40 kilometers away from the city. So it was just a hill with three institutes, so we were seeing the same faces again. So it was a beautiful hill, beautiful weather. I wrote a song there called Yanakani Sondama. So I wrote that in 2009, and I came back to Chennai. I quit my job in Bangalore, moved back to Chennai, and then a junior of mine from school was also, he had just finished his masters or something like that. So he was like, let's work on something. So we worked on Yanakini Sonama. We recorded a proper version of it and we released it in 2011. And then again, I re-released it as part of my EP Bubble Wrap in 2017. So that was actually the first song that I ever recorded and released as a single as Shilpa Natarajan. Otherwise, it was all for somebody else. But Yanakini Sondama was actually the first song we released, and we recorded it at home. He came home with his laptop and earphones, and we shot a video for it at home with my friends speaking a few words about what love meant to her and things like that. Very fond memories of the song. Thing is, I have had experiences with music composers where I would have to go and they will tell me what to sing. I have to sing it exactly. But I feel a lot of composers I've worked with frequently, like Girish or Vishal or Darbuka Shiva, they give you the song and they tell you to sing it however you want to do it. So I feel there's a lot more freedom there, and it's nice because they are very. At the end of the day, it's their song. If somebody messed up my song, I would feel very angry about it. I would react differently, but they've all been kind enough to let me experiment with their song in whatever way. I do that with Girish. He will give me a song and he'll say, just sing whatever you want. Like, this is the tune I want. I will end up singing something else, and then he'll be like, actually, this is nice. Let's just keep this. So that way, it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of freedom. It's not very restricted that you have to sing only these notes. So, as a singer, I feel it's a lot more exciting to work with composers. But at the same time, I have to keep in mind that it's their song, it's their baby. I do. So I write in English. The Tamil songs I write in English, and like எனக்கு நீ சொந்தமா, I wrote the whole thing in English, and my Tamil is not very, it's not the pure Tamil. So the written Tamil is very different from my spoken Tamil. I never learnt Tamil in school. It was Sanskrit and Hindi, which I don't know. So I would for எனக்கு நீ சொந்தமா, I wrote everything down in English, like line by line. I gave it to my friend who transliterated it line by line. So with my other Tamil songs, we had lyricists on board, but English songs I write my own English lyrics. Once in a while, when I have like brain freeze or something, I send it to my cousin. So my cousin Biku has actually co-written most of the songs for my EP Bubble Wrap. I sent it to him and I said, Biggs, I just need the chorus. And so he would go with what I have written and write his lyrics over there, which would go with everything else, which would go with the whole song. So yeah, it's fun. So for myself, I have written about 8 songs that have been released. I have like 5 more which I haven't released as yet. It's still work in progress. They've all been written, tune set, everything. It's just the recording and fine tuning that is pending. I've written one song for a musician friend of mine, Ram Shankar. It's called Don't Give Up. It was released on Women's Day, I think about 2-3 years ago. So that's something I wrote. I do. I have a parody band called Beef Sapada Trio. So we have names. There's Veal Smith, there's Tenderloins of Punjab, and I'm Barbecue. We make parody songs. We did a song about biryani a few years ago. If you've heard Megan Trainor's All About the Bass, we wrote a song about biryani called All About the Taste, where we spoke about the different kinds of biryani. So we've actually done, we do go a little bit political also. Like when there was an 8 days meat ban in some parts of India, we wrote a song called 8 Days No Meat, based on the Beatles song. So we did that, and then recently we released a song called Sounds of Violence, based on Simon and Garfunkel's Sound of Silence. It's about whatever is happening in our country. So, like general, any country, like right now there are protests happening across the world, so it could be applicable to any part of the world. So yeah, Sound of Silence, we're on YouTube. Beef Sapada Trio is my parody band, but I do have another acoustic band called Under Arrest, like the musical Rest. It's not arrest. So we do a lot of acoustic covers. We did a lot of acoustic covers. The band is on hold now because both my band members live in Bangalore now. They work there. So it's difficult for us to meet and work. But we haven't released any originals, but we used to do a lot of these wedding shows, corporate gigs, pub gigs, where we used to take English covers, do medleys, mash them up, sing. That was good fun. Apart from that, I work with independent musicians. Like for any of the shows, we don't form a band for that, but we collaborate depending on what the client also needs. It's like a 2-piece or 3-piece band or 4-piece band. But band is Beef Sapara Trio. I even have the logo. I'm like that dedicated to the band. Yeah.
So sounds of violence sounds very interesting. Little bit.
So, not to get too political with everything that is happening in our country, it's not a very happy situation. So, if you've heard Simon and Garfunkel's Sound of Silence, hello darkness, my old friend, I've come to talk to you again. Hello India, my old friend, I've come to talk to you again. Because division softly creeping left its seeds while I was sleeping. So things like that, we've made those changes. We've spoken more about lynching, about mob violence, about different things happening, division, things like that. But I feel, to be very honest, so my friend Dale Smith, also known as Dr. Johann Chaco, when he wrote this song, it felt like Sounds of Silence was actually written for this, written for us to rework on it because everything fit beautifully. It made beautiful sense. The music just worked really well, and while Beef Sapade Trio recorded it, we also featured other musicians from the city. Featured Sharanya Gopinath, Sangeeta Santosham, Deepa Nambiar. So we had a lot more voices as well. All the voices of the country. There are many people like that. To be very honest, like if you look at India, I would love to. I'm a huge Benny Dayal fan. I would love to collaborate with Benny. I'm a huge Sid Sriram fan. I would love to collaborate with Sid Sriram. I love Shasha Tripathi's voice. I would love to collaborate with her, but she's like on a completely different level and her style of singing is completely different. So it would be interesting to work with all of them because everybody has got massive styles of their own. I would love to collaborate with Yogi B because he's like the god of music, I would say, and a very underrated artist. So I would love to collaborate with him. There's so many of these musicians who don't even know I exist. I would love to collaborate with, but musicians I know who know me. Bruce Lee is a very well-known guitarist in the city. I recently collaborated with him on a song called Yaroni, which we actually released on September 4th. So that's happening. I'm slowly collaborating with musicians who also know I exist. But the ones who don't know I exist, I need to get there and then collaborations. Arjun Kanungo. I'm huge fans of all these people. So I like Arjun's music a lot. I'm a huge fan of his. Maybe one day, if I ever get to meet him, I'll go and tell him, please, let's collaborate.
Music.
I had all those things. I had dreams that I wanted to sing for A.R. Rahman. I had a bottle of sangria which I bought in Spain in 2012, and I kept it there saying I'll open it only if I sing for A.R. Rahman. It never happened. The sangria also got ruined, and then my mother was like, "Please just be logical about such things. Don't waste sangria like this." So I had things like that. I had this thing that I wanted to win Grammys. Like as a child, I always wanted to win the Grammys. But then now, as I'm also growing older and becoming a little more mature than what I was, I know that that's not everything. That's just not. That shouldn't be the only aim or whatever. So my dream would be to travel around the world through music. Somebody fund my travels, say do the show here, and I get to travel, I get to eat different kinds of food, meet different kinds of people, all through music. That I would say is my current dream. Travel the world through music. So I'm a huge beach fan. I'm a tropical, live in Chennai. So, but as much as I love beach, I also love cold countries a lot. So far, out of all my travels, Scotland is my favorite. I have my sister and family live there, so I feel like I'm part Scottish, even though I have nothing to do with. But every time I visit Scotland, we take a small region. We try to do a road trip around the region and try to explore it further. I just love the language, I love the food, I love everything about Scotland. So I think Scotland is my favorite, most favorite. I love watching Netflix.
Okay.
Netflix, Amazon Prime, Hotstar, name it. I have all the accounts. I just sit and binge watch shows. That's what I do. If I'm not at school, or which is very rare because it's like during the day it's Montessori, during the evening it's the music school. I come back home, my husband makes the dinner, and the cat wants attention. So I'm like, it's time for myself. Shows. I speak Tamil and English. To survive, I speak Hindi. I lived in Pune for 2 years. I didn't know Marathi, so I had to fend for myself in Hindi. I learned French, so I can also survive in French. It's very horrible, it's broken, but I can survive. Because I listen to a lot of Spanish music and follow Spanish leagues, La Liga, and things like that. I can pick up a few words I can't speak. Because of Western classical music, now I'm becoming familiar with Italian words. I can't speak Italian, but if somebody says something to me, I can pick out a few words and understand what it means. German, I'm hoping to get there because that I feel is very complicated. I learned Sanskrit in school, I don't know anything except my name is, which might be wrong also. So, yeah. I like listening to different languages. I can understand what few words mean, but I'm not very fluent in any of those languages. I honestly don't know. I keep telling people around me this. Like if I wasn't into music, I honestly do not know what I would have done. I don't have the patience. I'm very bad with numbers, which are not rhythmic. So I would. My dad wanted me to do corporate secretaryship for a very long time. He was behind me saying, "Do corporate secretaryship. You'll do well." I'm like, no, accounts was no offense, I hated accounts in school. all i would under all I understood was left hand side and right hand side should balance, so I would make up things to make it balance. That's all I did. So it was like really bad. Science was never my thing. It was never. And my mother was a science teacher, so science was never a thing. My grandmother was a math and Sanskrit scholar. Both didn't work out for me. My dad was an engineer. So I keep telling, I can't draw. I can't draw a straight line with a scale. That's how bad I am. So I keep telling people, like, I honestly don't know what I would have done if I wasn't into music. Maybe I would have, now to think about it, because I have cats in my life, maybe I would have opened a cat shelter or something like that and looked after cats. Yeah, and dogs. Welcome them, rescue them, rehabilitate them. Maybe that. I don't anymore. I used to play table tennis. I actually used to play state ranking tournaments and represented my school in the national level and things like that. So I played table tennis for a very long time. Then I did a very silly thing of playing basketball simultaneously. So I messed up my ligament because you're using opposite muscles and everything. So I messed that up. So sports not happened since school. But yeah, I don't play it. I play foosball if that's counted as a sport. That's very hard.
Yeah, but
that's like really hard. See, because I listen to different languages. Okay, there's just one song that's coming that I'm able to think of right now. Um, there is this song. There is a French singer called Indila. So there's a song called Dernier Dance. It's a very fast-paced, cute song. That's not my main favorite, but that's the only thing that's popping up right now. Indila. Yeah. I like the way it's a very casual song. The way it's been composed. It's something that would make you want to dance even if you don't know how to dance. Something that you can listen to on a road trip. You can chill on the beach and listen to it. can sit at home and listen to it. I feel that's not a mood-based song. That you have to be in this state of mind to listen to that song. I think that's something which is
All pervading.
universally applicable. Outside music, I've never really thought about this actually. Okay, I just feel right now anybody who's accepting of everybody. So anybody who speaks out for acceptance, I think they are my favorite right now. Again, difficult, but my mother-in-law makes killer beef cutlets. That's my current favorite right now. It's the easiest to say. I love it. Because I'm on keto, so that's a very keto-friendly thing that she makes. She uses almond flour and she makes it. So, eggs, almond flour, beef cutlets, my favorite. It's very strange, but fire. I get freaked out by fire. If you're asking me in terms of that, but if you're asking me in terms of life experiences, like I said earlier, I've grown up and I'm a bit more mature now. I know that there's nothing to be afraid of. It just happens. But if you ask me about phobias, I'm freaked out by fire. So I've heard two different stories. My mother says I was very quiet. My sister says I was very annoying. So, but I do remember being very mean to her. Like I would hit her and cry, and she would get yelled at. But I think that's generally what younger siblings do, annoy their older siblings. So I think to different people I was different things. My mother was like, "You were amazing. You were so quiet and calm, and you used to listen to me all the time." And my sister would be like, "You used to listen to her, and you used to do what you want, and you made my life hell." So yeah, I think I was a happy kid doing my own thing. முகவரி இல்லாத ஒருவன் அவனை நான் காதலித்தேன் இடமில்லாத இதயம் என் நெஞ்சை அவனிடம் கொடுத்தேன் என்னையே மாற்றினேன் நான் என் மீது குற்றம் சாற்றினேன் நான் காதலில் மயங்கினேன் நான் காதல் மாயத்தில் மயங்கினேன் காதல் மாயத்தில் மயங்கினேன் நான் காதல் மாயத்தில் மயங்கினேன் நான்